Okay, so hello everybody, my name's Ian. I'm a section leader of large carnivores at Paradise Wildlife Park. And at the moment we're just going to try and get Kadira, our female jaguar. You might just see her at the bottom there, to see if she's going to come out and just climb this tree to the right of the picture there. Her food's on the top. Now she hasn't got a lot of food today. She is actually on a diet at the moment, so we're trying to trim her down. And she does eat separate to her partner Kamal. Kamal is actually in the separation pen to the right of the enclosure at the moment. He's just about to come out for his food. But they do eat separately. Oh, she's just coming to the bottom of the tree. They do eat separately simply because they will be quite aggressive and possessive over the food. Even though these two absolutely love each other, they're really good together. They spend all of their time together. In fact, the only time we separate them is literally just so they can eat for a few hours, and once they finish their food, they go back together quite happily and usually finish each other's bones up. So she's actually looking for an easier way up the pole there, but she has just realised where it is. She's going to check the enclosure first just to see if she can find an easier route up, but we're trying to exercise her, so the pole feeds work really well. As they're not going to hunt, oh, she goes, just building up to it. That's really good. You can just see the strength in her muscles there, and she is losing a bit of weight now, which is good. Oh, she knocked a bit off, but effortless really, actually, when you see it. And she's just going to take it into a day shelter there to eat. So I'm going to see if I can just move along a bit of picture of her while she's eating. There we go. So yeah, those pole feeds work really well. It actually uses the same kind of muscles and bone structure as if these guys were bringing down prey. Now they are ambush predators, so what they're actually trying to do is tackle their prey from behind. They don't want to be near the front hooves or the teeth of the prey species that they're going after, simply because that is going to be the most dangerous part for them. Obviously the back legs can still kick them, which is dangerous, and people often kind of overlook how dangerous it is when predators take down prey species, especially when prey is often 3-4 times their own body weight. She weighs about 65-70 kilo at the moment, but she can take down food easily 3 or 4 times her own body weight. Incredibly powerful cats. And it's a risk of injury for them every time they go out hunting, and if they're actually caught on their own somewhere and they do get a kick and an injury from any of their prey species and they can't hunt for a week, they start to get to a dangerous point of maybe kind of starving to death, which is going to cause a lot of problems for them in the wild. They're solitary hunters. These guys don't hunt in groups like prides of lions or packs of dogs or anything, so they rely on everything for themselves. Now, as she's eating there, it won't take long to get through this. Jaguars are notorious for virtually eating everything that we give them. She will crunch down the bones as well. She's actually got some ribs. Today these are horse ribs. Now, we don't kill horses to feed the cats here at Paradise Wildlife Park. They are usually donated, or the owners get to decide what they want to do with their horse. The abattoirs then check for disease, check for any drugs that animal might have had that could affect our cats, and then we get the food once it's been processed. You might notice it's got a bit of a blue dye on it. That is just a vegetable dye. That's to say that it's not fit for human consumption, that's all. So as we're looking at her nice and close, she's chewing away there. She's nice and relaxed even when we're watching, which is quite good. You can see these beautiful kind of markings on them. This is typical of a jaguar. They've got these kind of 4 spots that make up what we call these rosette patterns. So these rosettes are their markings that are all over them, and they're usually kind of goldeny brown, but Kadira is actually a little lighter than most jaguars that I've seen before, but then just like us, our genetics come from their parents. You do get this black coloration of jaguars as well. People often refer to them as panthers, but actually panthers don't really exist. There's no actual species of cat that is a panther. Panther is kind of comes from the word panthera, which in Latin the scientific name means big cat, basically. So when you do get these black jaguars, it's actually a dominant gene that produces it, whereas with white cats, like leucistic cats, with white fur, like white lions or white tigers, this is a recessive gene, so both parents need to carry that gene to have a small chance of passing the ailment on. Whereas with Jaguars, it's actually a dominant gene, so one parent needs to carry that black gene, and that gives you a chance of it coming out in the cubs in the future. With leopards, though, if you see black leopards in India, this is actually back to a recessive gene again, so both parents must cap it. So it's quite unique in Jaguars, it's a dominant gene there. Now, as I said, this is Kadira eating here. We have got Kamal, he is eating in the separation pan. I can't quite see him from where I am at the moment, and he is a bit more protective of his food than she is as well. They are part of the European breeding programme, and luckily for us, these two actually have produced a cub who actually turned 3 in April this year. She actually moved to our sister part, the Big Cat Sanctuary there, and she's actually been paired up with another Jaguar called Neron, who is a big black Jaguar who's born in Artist Zoo in Amsterdam. So with a bit of luck, when they go on to breed in the future, if they get a recommendation to breed, we could end up with some black cubs from this generation, or these could be grandparents to some black cubs, I suppose, which would be really, really nice. With the breeding programme, like I said, they're part of the European Endangered Species Breeding Programme, and this means we get recommendations to breed. Now with Jaguars, generally we only want to breed kind of one set of cubs from each pairing. That means that we don't want to kind of flood the breeding program with the same genetics from the same cats all the time. Obviously you get half of your genetics from your mum, half from your dad. So to ensure that we're not flooding it, we kind of make sure that we're given recommendations based on who's bred before. It doesn't mean that we won't ever get a recommendation to breed again, and they were both excellent parents for a first-time group as well, which worked really well. In fact, they were so good that we actually managed to get Dad Kamal back with his daughter for the last kind of year of their life, which is quite rare. You do get what we call infanticide with big cats, and Jaguars are notorious for it, and that is where in the wild, if a mum's got some cubs, Dad will play no part in rearing them, and if another male came into that area, sadly he might try and kill that cub, and that will bring the female back into season so he can go and breed. And as much as it sounds horrible and it sounds really nasty and cruel, it is how these guys have survived for millions of years now, and it means that there is survival of the fittest. If only the strongest genes are being passed on in the wild, that ensures that you've got the strongest genetic cats that are growing up. It means if you've made it to adulthood in the wild, you're pretty much the strongest of the strong, fittest of the fit. Now, Jaguars are the only true big cat that comes from the Americas, and their stronghold is the Amazon basin down in South America there. But there are populations outside of that. They're also found up into Mexico with at least 200 or 300 individuals that we know of there. In more recent years, there's even been reports of several sightings in Arizona, in those southern states in America there. But there is little known about this population, and obviously with the worry of border walls and things like that going up between these countries, it means if they are roaming across the borders there, then there might be a problem for that isolated small population there. It means that they might be forced into inbreeding, which ultimately would cause them to disappear sadly in the wild. Now, it's hard to do conservation work in the wild with Jaguars in most of the territory that they're found in. Either these countries are very dangerous to go into, there's lots of different problems with cartels and things like that own areas, and people can't really go out into the jungle and just count these and look after them and do conservation work like we would with other species. So we kind of do guesstimates on how many of these guys are left in the wild. Some of the best numbers you get today are probably around 8,000 to 12,000. I think it's probably quite optimistic that if there's that many left in the wild today. I think we're probably talking more around maybe 5,000 to 8,000, and that would be a really optimistic. But some of the areas that these guys live in the Amazon basin there especially are incredibly remote. We don't know, so there actually might be more than we think, but we're kind of, from a conservation point of view, we always kind of want to look at the least. If you've got more numbers than you actually end up finding out, that's just an absolute bonus in the wild. So you might have been able to just hear a crunching through that rib there. Now, ribs aren't the strongest of bones, but these guys literally crunch for anything. That's because they've got the strongest jaw pressure, size for size or pound for pound, for any cat on the planet. In fact, their crushing power in their jaws is around 1,800 pounds per square inch of crushing power. If you take a big lion, big tiger, you're probably talking 1,500 to 1,600 pounds per square inch. So even though they're not the size of a lion or a tiger, they're incredibly powerful for that size. And I'd class them as probably the most dangerous cat to work with in captivity. They're incredibly clever. Cognitive ability is amazing. These guys, we do lots of training with these guys, and they work out these issues and work out problems and puzzles very, very quickly, whether it be through brute force or whether it is through just intelligence. And there's a perfect example of her markings there. She's now looking for that little bit of meat that she actually dropped as she came down. So we'll just see if she's gonna jump down there. And in fact, the jaws are so powerful, you can see how wide their cheeks are there. That's because they've got all this extra muscle power. And in fact, unlike most cats that actually would kill their prey through a jugular hold and suffocate their prey, these guys will actually kill their prey with a single leap or a single bite. And I believe the word Jaguar actually comes from, I can't remember if it's an Aztec word or an Inca word, but the word was aguar, which meant to kill with one leap or to kill with one bite. So incredibly powerful. And there we go, she's found that a little bit. Straight back up into a day shelter. And then now, if you did see a little wound on her back leg there, don't panic too much, we are aware of that. She's just been over grooming an area there. We're not sure if she's got a small skin condition or what it is, but she's definitely just over grooming it. Luckily she is very well trained, so we have been spraying her to try and deter her from with an antiseptic, just to keep it clean, and it does help deter her from doing it. And our vet is currently working on what we're going to do with her, but it's not really causing her too much of a problem, apart from she's just licked the fur away on that back leg there. But luckily we monitor our cats very closely, so that we can always see what's going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you just watching her for a few seconds. Now during lockdown, the cats have been starting to miss some people. I think they like watching children running around, and it keeps them a bit entertained. So we've been trying to do extra enrichment and keep these guys extra stimulated during these times, and hopefully all of you guys are staying safe at home. Obviously during lockdown we're not making any money at the moment, and it is what we rely on, our income of public coming in to see these beautiful animals to keep us going. It probably costs us around £3,000 a day to operate this park during lockdown, and that's when we're on skeleton team. So please, if you do have any spare money, or at least just share the video, helps get some awareness out there, and hopefully once lockdown is finished, we'll be able to see you all and welcome you all back to Paradise Wildlife Park. Please stay safe while you're out there. Make sure you're helping each other and looking after people that might be vulnerable, and like I said, we hope to see you soon. Thank you for watching, and take care.